evenings live, and we're about 24 hours until the daily close for the week within the futures market. As we know, crypto's candle closes on Sunday, but it gets interesting as we push into a thinly traded weekend with the momentum we've had so far in crypto. Ethereum's up about 3%, sitting at 4,475. And it's come over the first area of resistance. And if we can hold that for this period of time, we should be able to come up. And if this were to pan out, I mean, you're talking about a much higher resistance over the top. Especially if we're in this kind of wedge setup, which it looks like we are, and it's broadening at that. The next tap could be around 5,500. So it transcended its pattern, and it's been pretty cool to watch it. Bye, Mimi. It's been fun to watch it as it's, evolved in what we think is a broadening wedge right now. We can get rid of some of the noise in the middle just so we can actually see. But that's basically, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this for now. Basically what we're looking at, as far as way over the top and underneath. So that leaves us a lot of room if we're starting to go. Obviously, we're way overbought here in the 4-hourly, but we did clear out some in the weekly, which is not quite towards neutral, but it's close enough. And we bounced off taking the top. We didn't even come back to 35.40. So we'll see if we continue to take off here and start to push up. This is like a V-shaped recovery here. It took off at that 39.90 here. Let's get this out of the way for a sec, just so it's easier to see. If it becomes relevant, we'll put that back, but it's not relevant where it's at right now. Well, you never know if it comes back. But right now it looks to be in almost like a broadening wedge. There's also a shorter term, or not shorter term, but a slightly different way to look at this, which I had it up there, but I don't know why I took it off. But resistant, this is how you get the 4,385 area. Because you can look at it as a pattern that's tightening. If we put it just like that. Because we want to meet the end of this. We're literally on the cusp here of possibly breaking out of this short-term area, which is very interesting. Very interesting, because if you get past there, it opens up the door to another, just about $1,000 push up. So I know we were seeing red for a while. We came down support structures, and it didn't end up going through, which a little bit of positivity here. We got a little bit of a green flip here in the daily, and the moving average convergence divergence, and the MACD. And the reason why I show Ethereum is because it moves. It helps give us that positivity of some kind of alt season. As far as XRP, we're back over $3. It's nice to see it over $3. There's no doubt in my mind that in time here, we're going to find ourselves in what most would have thought was an unthinkable move, especially when we're at 30, 40, 50 cents, is going to be a reality about 6 weeks from now. I don't know if that's the date we're going to hit $5, but I do know that's the time when we're going to start either having that real push towards it, but it's about 6 weeks out. That is not as far as it sounds anymore, is it? Not even 6 weeks out. Oh, yeah, it is. First week of October right now. So we're about 6 weeks from where I think we're going to have a very climatic moment. It's going to be very nice. And it's not just going to be XRP, but it's going to be historic for XRP because it's going to go to levels we've never seen. I really think what's going to happen with XRP is that it'll have that move to 539 or 649 and top out on this little cycle, on this last part for XRP. And then what it's going to do is when it falls 50, 60%, it's going to end up using the all-time high in its history before this breakout as the newfound floor. Could you imagine? That's the ultimate fear for anybody not in XRP right now. That should be the scariest scenario that I could bring to you. XRP, if it breaks out and hits that 549 or the 639 top, I think what's going to end up happening is the back test of 50 to 60% correction is going to be the support of all-time highs. And think of what that means. If that's the support structure that builds at $3.50 area, imagine the next 10x move up to 35. Because right now we're working off that move from 38. Or, I'm sorry, 28 and a half. So you have to judge this from the bear market low at 28 and a half cents. Just because my average is 34, that doesn't mean that you count it from there. It was 28 and a half cents was the actual bottom. So now think of next time the bottom's 350. So we went from 28-cent floor to a $3.50 floor. Turning 10,000 would have cost you 2,800. Now it costs you 35,000. That's the ultimate gut-wrenching scenario. Think about it. Yeah, that road, yeah. There's other roads where it could be even worse. But I think if we want to build into the crazy what we want to see, I think the most reliable scenario would be to measure it out as a measured move and then look at what would make sense. But that's just what I think. You know, it could be even worse. You know, who knows? Maybe it goes up to $10, $15, and then it back tests double digits. You know, but there's certainty that we may never, you know, see those numbers that we once saw in this community for several years. So just be thankful that we're here. Don't do anything. Just patience. Remember how we've been teaching patience through gold and silver, holding the silver and gold bullion in the mining stocks and building into them. Patience. XRP, you've already done the hard part. The hard part was buying it when everybody told us we were idiots at 35 cents or 50 cents for some or 75 or whatever. The hard part is over. The extremely hard part is upon us because it's so tempting to sell it at every left, right, and, you know, straight up turn. Now, being up 10x or close to it, you have the ability to at least take your money back so you don't feel like... But I honestly, at this point, I would just let it play out. I'm not... You sat through the... You sat through a move up to 350 all the way back down to $1.62. You rode it back up to 370 almost. Rode it back down to 262. I think at this point, you might as well just let it ride out now. You've already done the hard part. And if you haven't bought yet, I'm sorry. It's just so expensive now in comparison. So, I mean, if you have deep pockets and you really want XRP, I'm not going to tell you not to buy it. But at the same time, you know, take a deep look at XDC. Please. Look at this consolidation. This next move for XDC, once this finishes, and I don't know if it's going to be down here at 6.8, if it's going to bounce out now, because this could be a huge W, and this could be a huge reversal right now because it's 70% of the move. But once it does it, you're going to end up springboarding. It's either going to be 11.5 or 10.2, depending on where it hits. If it comes way down here, it'll be somewhere in between. But just think about that. I really think this is extremely undervalued. Like I have just over 100,000 tokens of XDC, and we've been fans of it for a long time. And yeah, we've been doing some trading in and out, but at this point, we're past that with everything. With everything, you know, that's why over the past 4 and 5 days, I was trying to target each of these for everybody as we were either trying to hold that support or understand if we're going to break through. But it's given us validation for at least the short-term move since Saturday. So since Saturday, you know, we've been waiting. And now on Thursday, we're materializing in some of this. Some of them not. Like Linnea, this is a tricky one. Because Band's one that looks like it could be getting ready for a slingshot. And I'm just patiently waiting with Band. Not adding, not doing nothing different. Just letting it go. See what happens here. You know, I was in and out one time when it had the big surge up. But once it got back to the 60 cent area, 65 cent, I just said the hell with it. This is a good enough than not area. Did it come to 52? No. But or 64 when it came back around or down. I don't remember because it came down first. I don't fucking remember how it happened on the rebuy, but it happened. Because it's on Kraken. I just know there's 10,000, like 86 tokens. But it's on the back test now. Like, if this is going to break out, this is what it needs to do to get over this. And it's 70% of this consolidation now. So if this breaks out, then it can open the door back up to that big move up. There's going to be a micro step in between, but it's one to pay attention to. Linnea, a lot of attention. They have a 1 billion token unlocked that appears on October 10th. Kind of like what XRP is doing. They're releasing it along the way. 2.7 cents. So when everybody keeps asking when to buy, you want to wait for it to break that 2.7, just so you know that it's breaking out bullishly. That's a nice daily candle, though. It's looking like it recovered itself pretty nicely. 4 hourly looks like a nice reversal. It cleared out some space in the 3 and 2. I would have liked to have seen this be rejected and come back down to 2.5, fill it out and bounce. But it very well could have a move out and then back, or just straight out. Because this looks like an expandable. This looks like a wedge. It does. It looks like a wedge is forming. And if that's the case, if this is what's happened and it's confirmed this pattern already, and yeah, you can sink it to the downside if you want to do it like this. And just that didn't come down. We can do that. It just, I don't know if that makes more sense. I almost think it makes more sense the other way. But, you know, who am I to say? We could stretch it out like that, probably. But we've got evidence here where we hit the pattern. I like it like that a lot. I really do like this a lot like this. So, I'm waiting to see what it does here. You know, I want to see what it does here. But I do know if it does break out and it goes back to the top, it's almost a one. It's like a... Even if they do have a release, if that's the move it's working on, that looks like an inverse pattern set up there too. And you're talking about 60% almost. It's a spooky, spicy one. Spooky, spicy one. Good evening. 6:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. You see those pumpkins coming out? I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Dan Marginal, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 3 months plus with the XRP Meteor. Frankie Fresh, Defined Group, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. And also, Frankie Fresh, give Janine my love, your significant other who I know is watching. So blessed. And Defined Group, thanks for being a very trusting bot in here and in the Telegram. It's great to have you back in the audience after your nice vacation. Hey everyone, hit that like on the way in. Consider subscribing and joining Tom's Army now for the best technical analysis on YouTube, plus gaining access to our exclusive Telegram. Don't miss out. I agree. I approve that message. I think it's something special in the Telegram. It offers a lot. A lot. If you're in Tom's Army, if you pay it forward, the $9.99 a month, you see some members in here with the emoji badges that I came up, you know, and just specialized badges for a reason. You get the exclusive Telegram as a thank you from me to you. I don't charge for any of my content, so it's literally just a thank you from them. So if you want to be a part of more like-minded individuals, please take advantage. If you're looking to trade Linnea or some of the other ones, or trying to replace BitUnix, or just stay on BitUnix too, because I have like $4,000 on BitUnix though, so I'm still actively on it. But TOOBIT is my replacement, if you want to call it that, as they're redirecting their interest to the USA, as BitUnix is kind of going the other way. So that's in the video description below and our pinned comments if you're interested. They have Linnea. I like WeX, which is also in the pinned comments and video description for IOTA Spot. Especially if you're in the USA, it's a great thing. I mean, some states like New York are scumbags, but you might not be able to get it. But, you know, those are options. So pay attention to those links. Don't click on anybody who acts like they're me, trying to share you a link unless you're seeing it in my community. Because there's a lot of people who try to imitate me, and then you end up on an exchange that I would never recommend. And then you end up sending money to somebody, and I would never ask you to send me anything. I may show you where I trade. And like if you want to copy trade me, I have my application in on TOOBIT. But it's a process, so I'm just waiting for approval. But you can certainly sign up for that too if you want to wait. WeX, I don't know what's going on. It's hard in the USA for some reason. So, with the copy trade. But anyhow. If you want to. Bitcoin is up 1.46% on the day, or $1,731 to 120,000, approximately 399. It broke out of that 115.5, and now it's got eyes for the 126. And that's what we've been waiting for, this little move since Saturday. And it did take a minute, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. It built this inverse head and shoulders. And that's what led us to believe, like, hey, between this perfectly formed inverse head and shoulders, now that it played out a little bit, you can see it. Now a logical back test, it could send it down to 118.2. Back test that structure. But now it opened up the door here. Try to see if it can get on top of the rising wedge and start pushing 143. It's the truth. That's what it's going to try to do if it can push past here. It'll try to push 143. So it would be a great start to the end of this year. We've seen Bitcoin dominance was trying to have a reversal. Well, now it's big W. It could be forming this hook here for a much larger move up. And that doesn't mean that crypto is going to go down. That just means that Bitcoin in itself could be setting up a big move. Look how oversold we are in the 4-hourly again. You know, so it all ends are meeting here. Daily's back up into an overbought scenario. So what I think, because the weekly is also oversold like a son of a bitch, what I'm hoping for is that maybe it comes down to the 200-day, and while it does that, our alt tokens just go berserk. Or our altcoins still go up, but while this is coming up to the 62 percentile, there's enough money floating through still that it'll trickle into the altcoins. Maybe they have some drops, but positive overall. And then by the time it makes this retest, you know, maybe it takes until, you know, we get up here somewhere in late October, early. But once we get that rejection or breakdown now, then we can officially start this alt season. But we're starting to make some noise here. We just have to get some further evidence. But we're getting some noise. We're getting some noise. That's all you can ask for, some noise. The Gatman, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years. Wow. With the XRP Diamond handbag. That's unbelievable. I swear. It's unbelievable seeing how long some of you have been in Tom's Army. Some of you all the way out over 4 years. 3 years, almost a 4 for the Gatman. That's crazy. Thank you so much for that. Marie, welcome in. Syrian, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. Also a very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. Hope you're doing swell. Very swell. Joseph Euler, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor along with Jacoby. Thank you both so much. Also, Ben B in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Mr. G. Stott. Mr. Stott, welcome in. G. Stott, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty's Autos Crypto News along with David Hoff. Love seeing the renewals into the 2nd month for both of you. And then hopefully continuation. We'll see what happens. Not many in the 1st month I'm not seeing lately, but that's okay. We'll hook them. We will hook more. We have to. It's our job. Poppy Lou, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Mrs. Stott is also in the house. Mr. and Mrs. G. Stott, thank you so much for tuning in. And Mrs. Stott, I'm so blessed to have you in here. I adore my female audience. We have much higher than the general average. In crypto, it's about 2 to 4% on average for what I do. And even though I have 47,000 subscribers, it's up over 11% of my audience is female. And it makes me feel good. It's spectacular. We're overachievers here. UK Phil, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. My Fortnite buddy, even though I've been on Fortnite for a little bit because it's not so good right now. David Hoff, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty Autos Crypto News. John Page, good evening. Tanya May, welcome in, love, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 years with the XRP Diamond Hands badge. Wow. 3 years. Holy smokes. One of our most popular members of all time. No joke. No joke. In the flesh. Well, maybe not in the flesh. In the digital flesh. In a code. She's here with it. She's here within code. We see her in code. John Page, welcome in, my friend. I'm so glad and blessed and fortunate that you're still here. William Hayes, good evening, says not when you're holding 25,000 XRP. Thanks for being in Times for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. No, I base it on 10,000 because that was what I thought was a legitimate possibility for the price point we were at. You know, in the time of the market. And that's where I was at the time. 25,000 is perfect. I love it. I like it. I like it a lot seeing that. 1970 Legend, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Also a very trusted mod in here, which is ironic because he's our fellow Buckeye, the defending national champion, which is also ironic that he'd be a mod. And I trust him as an admin in here because I'm not the defending national champion, but Michigan won the championship a couple years ago. But yeah, the defending champions are in the house. So at least the Big Ten kept it for 2 years in a row. It's ironic. It's ironic. Corey, welcome. 1971. I love seeing you in here too. Hopefully we'll be able to say we beat you 5 years, but last year's got an asterisk because I know you guys let us win just so you wouldn't have to play Oregon in the Big Ten championship, so that you could beat them in the playoff. Because I mean, the third time, I mean, anybody's game, but you knew you'd beat them the second time because you knew how to beat them, and then you knew you'd win the title. You just had to lay an egg against Michigan. I firmly believe it. There's no other way to explain how you lost to a cactus at quarterback. No offense to fellow cactuses around the world that are insulted. AUX or AUWX welcome in and says, which mining stock would you recommend right now? Right now, it's tough. We had such an up that we have to have some down. I took off my list for now, Dolly Varden, because they had that offering of so many common shares. I decided to take my profit of 35%. I want to see how it played out. So I talked about it yesterday that I was going to do that. So that's why it's not on the list. And I have like, I don't know, 5,000 to the side from that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But Dolly Varden was one of my speculative ones. But when they're in, I don't care if they're offering them at 650 or not. That's a lot of common shares put into the market. So that's inevitably, I could be wrong, but it looked like a nice spot to bring it down. And it's something they commonly do. And it's been an issue in the past. And it dilutes their stock. I don't like that one. On the reverse silver court medal, they actually bought up or announced it a couple weeks ago that they were buying several million common shares because they thought the price was too cheap of the stock. So you got a company who thinks theirs is too cheap, so they're buying them up, and you got a company who's trying to sell them, but they're selling them at $6.50. It makes no goddamn sense. The price was at like $5.20 when they announced this. It came down about 6-7%. I should keep it on there just to see what am I doing. I'll check on it from time to time. Down 5.83%. I don't know. We'll check on that more, but which one would I buy? It's tough, man. Because I was telling, you know, and to put it in perspective, if you knew, we were talking about First Majestic at $4.50. Now it's at $12 to buy. Pan American, and we even had another shot at $5.45. Because that's where I bought more. Pan America Silver, we were talking at 18 and 22. Now it's at 39. B2 Gold, we were talking about 230 and all the way up to like 330. And now it's at 503. Barrett was at 14. 18, 20, and now it's at 33, almost 34, so it's slightly different pricing. Fortuna was all the way at 250, and then we talked about it again at 430 and 525. Now it's at 889. Hecla, we were buying it at 450, 475, 515. Now it's at 12. Silver Court Mining was at like 425. Now it's at 663, 654. And I mean, so it's, I don't know. I don't know. That's an honest answer because I told everybody a couple days ago, just wait a second for this correction. Year to date up 113% there. Hecla Mining's up 133. Fortuna's up 95. First Majestic's up 105. And that's from January. And that's when I advised everybody to buy. That's when I put the famous video out that I got my nuts cut off in the community. If you're new, I put this video out and my fellow community members castrated me. They were not too pleased, and it had almost 4,000 views. I came on live for an hour and 4 minutes getting slam-based, lamb-based, and I came on and said why. It was the reason why. I said I sold 75% of my crypto and turned focus to gold and silver, which within there you'll see it was the mining stocks. I should just say gold, silver, and mining stocks, because that's what it should say. I reference it in there a lot, but on the live sometimes I have to switch it after. It only took me fucking 9 months to update the live title. But mining stocks, gold, silver, and mining stocks. I'm sure you guys can understand. But that's what that whole episode was about. And I didn't sell off my XRP from 34 cents. A lot of people got mad. I did sell the ones off from 38 cents because that was the double bag that I wanted to have for profits. And that was when XRP went up to 340 and we had that big move. We just had a big move. We had those big moves over 330, 340. It was just a big fucking move. So, and now, you know, that was kind of like crickets. A few people took advantage of it, but now I get the question a lot, what mining stock would I buy? Well, they're up 100 and something percent since then. A lot of them. Pan America, year-to-date's up 86. Silver year-to-date's up 58. Barrick Gold's up 113. B2 Gold's up 94. Gold is up 46%. Silver is still vastly undervalued. So the silver miners, I don't think are going to be done moving yet. I just would hate for you to be a first-time buyer of the miners, and then all of a sudden next week you're down 12% because we finally get a correction after going up 120%. You know what I mean? So to put it in perspective, I've got $38,000 in profit right now on my miners, so that should tell you that we've moved a little bit, you know. And yeah, I put a nice little amount in there, but you know, they've moved a little bit. They've definitely moved a little bit. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, so we're looking for that little bit of a pullback, but I don't know in the conditions how far that's going to be, when it's going to be, how it's going to be. We could very well just go to 50. But we're in a very long cup and handle, so you haven't missed anything yet except the cheaper prices. In 6 months, you're going to say, wow, these are real cheap. Now First Majestic is at 25 or 30, and Pan America's at 70, and B2 Gold's at 12, and Barrett's at 75, 80, maybe 100 where it needs to be with its market cap. Hekla's going to be in the mid-20s, 30s. You never know. Silver Corp should be back to 15, 20. So it's all relative. In between, at some point, could you see a dip? Like, look at this right here. These are perfect examples. Like, depending on when you bought, you could have had it at 406 and then all of a sudden be down to 332, 315, and now look at that, off to the races. So, I mean, it's all relative to what your mindset and fundamental approach is. But I still think they're dirt cheap for where we're going. I'm flexing. Meh. I mean, if that's a flex, that's not a very good flex. The Cannabis Podcast, welcome along with Crypto Cooter. Thank you so much for being in Tom Zone for 6+ months with XP Predictor. Along with Papa Wheelie and Define, thanks for being in very trusted mod in here and in the Telegram. Says the best investment is not HBAR or XRP or XM or XEC. It's joining Tom's Army. I agree with that, the Cannabis Podcast. Thank you so much for that. And don't forget to watch the Cannabis Podcast. You know, if you want to learn about hemp healing as well, he actually does a phenomenal job. Should have a lot more subscribers, but YouTube is not going to push that kind of a station. We're just lucky we get what we get here. Help a friend out. Help the Cannabis Podcast. Yep. Joseph, good evening. Hey, Tom, how can we get some Bitcoin dominance, TA? It's funny because I actually talked about Bitcoin dominance in this live. How do you get it? Just ask for it. Remind me. Hey, Tom, Numbnuts. You haven't looked at Bitcoin dominance here this evening, don't you think we should? Bitcoin dominance massively oversold. It's what led me into thinking on Saturday that we're about to, between this and Ethereum being bottom side liquidity just whitewashed, it was insane. How much liquidity was wiped from the bottom was all over the top, so. We'll talk about this again. I'll keep it up there so I don't forget. Are we at a point where we're feeling confident to deploy a little side cash? Jordan English. Well, I mean, on Saturday, that's when we were starting to feel confident. You know, Saturday, when I put that video out, that's when I started buying IOTA and Algo and all the, no, well, not Algo, I already had it. But got the IOTA on the WEX and spot. And the XDC, I tried to do it on WeX with everybody 3 times over the weekend, and it didn't work on the copy trade. It cost me $128 because I'm an asshole. Because it didn't work. So then I just did it on, I got it back on Kraken. Which if you have the pro version, I mean, the fees are not that bad. Honestly, I've been testing that, and it's a couple dollars. It's not bad at all. It's not like on some of these NO.KYC exchanges. So, but yeah, I have certain ones in certain places, like my Algo Band and Band, by the way, I did a test and it worked a couple days ago. Just hear me out. TOOBIT, if you want another reason to use TOOBIT, I bought Band on not TOOBIT. I bought it on, which one did I buy it on? No, it was TOOBIT. I bought it on TOOBIT and I was able to withdraw it and send it to Kraken through the Ethereum network. So you can use TOOBIT to buy Band if you don't want to get those huge fees. Even, you know, if you use some of the other things and you're trying to avoid the fees and using a NO.KYC exchange to avoid the fees, that's what I do. That's why I'm still a big believer in BitUnix if you can use it. But you couldn't do this with Band through BitUnix. So if you buy it, because it would only let you send it through the Band fucking network or some shit when I was trying before. I don't know, maybe they updated it now. But on here you can withdraw it, and like on Kraken, you just use the Ethereum network and you can send it through Ethereum, and it costs you, let's see, well, it all depends how many. It was like 7 Band. So, you know, try to avoid the big fees and try to find ways like that, little things you can do. That's why TOOBIT, WeX, all these exchanges that are NO.KYC, BitUnix, and we went through cycles, but now it's on and upward. It's on and upward. So, but like I said, with TOOBIT, it's important because that's where I'm going to be doing the copy trading once approved. And they have a rigorous system they go through. It's not, you can't just get approved. You actually have to go through a process, which I actually like that. So now not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can come in and just keep making an account, closing an account, making it. So, anyhow, the Bitcoin dominance, weekly time frame looks like it's a reversal here. Yes, it could be crossing down, but it's in an area with how oversold we are in the weekly. Obviously, the daily is getting way overbought, but that weekly at some point is going to win out. And we're in desperate need of a retest of the breakdown out of this channel. It was a rising channel for some time, and it meshed as a rising wedge. So we need to retest that point. Or not a rising wedge, a bearish, sorry, I was thinking of the Bitcoin pattern, but this is a bearish pennant. So it would make sense to retest that breakdown point where the channel broke. Maybe it'll drag out into here, into December, and it'll move up to 64%. And retest this as resistance here once more. That bearish pennant. That bearish pennant, once it breaks down in the calamities in 2032, that would get us down to 8.57% of all money would be in Bitcoin. Right now it's $58.80 out of every 100 goes into Bitcoin. And think of all the other cryptos there are. If it went down to that number, it'd be like less than $10 out of every 100. So that would be incredible. That would be incredible. Tom, have you ever charted out the Russell 2000? I'm just wondering your thoughts on it. I have. We're massively, I mean, at some point, that whole thing is going to just, it's going to implode at some point. And it's going to shake everybody out, but then it's going to return. All of those they're going to have one of those 30, 40, it's going to be an all market thing. But it might happen after Trump's out of office. Remember, We've got midterms next year. You know, and only an asshole in the midterms would have the markets going down. So maybe it'll be a bearish summer. But I think it's going to be all when all those regulations go in 28 when Trump's out. Not because of Trump directly, but he is making a lot of money in crypto. But I think it's going to be when all those regulations come in 28. Everybody's going to think we're going to take off. Say, oh my God, look at all these regulations. Here we go. It's going to be like hitting a brick fucking wall. Literally. Overnight. Instead of these big surges, we're going to have these epic collapses of liquidity tugs. Because now you're going to have a bunch of bigger players that are not going to want to stay in with the government overreach. The whole reason why, and I keep telling you guys this, the whole reason for big institutions and the bigger players is because there was not supposed to be government overreach. You were supposed to be able to just do it. I mean, for essence, there wasn't even supposed to be taxes involved. There was a way around all of it. And now what are we doing? Begging the government to bend us over. Why do we always do that as a people? Why do we always beg? Well, we can't do things ourselves? I think we can. Do we need their help? I don't think we do. I don't think we do. What proof that would anything be any better? No, I don't think so. G-Stot right in the old nutsack. I agree. Oh, Canada's podcast. Wouldn't that be awesome if it did do that? It says maybe XRP runs into all-time highs during October, then discovery mode in November. That would be great. I can't wait for discovery. I can't wait to see. Because I really do feel like it's going to take out 4 and 5 and 6 real quick. And then we might have to back test. But I think it's going to do it real quick when it starts to do it. Algo is doing exactly what XRP did when it was in the similar setup. It's taking its time through the structure. There's nothing wrong with this. I actually appreciate it. I appreciate its dedication in the structure. See that big W reversal, my friends? See that big inverse pattern? Patience, and before you know it, we're going to be at 43 cents. Yes, if it has a worst case, we could come down to 13, but I don't suspect we will. I have more than 30,000 algo, and they will never go anywhere. I'd have more, but I have 40,000 IOTA. But, you know, that's just me. So, we went over, everybody's like, are you afraid of crypto? It's quite the opposite. I'm afraid of what's going to happen this next time around. I don't care if it goes down 40%. Like, that's the difference between me and all of you. I could give a rat's ass. I know where it's going to go after. So, it's that ever-knowing feeling. But I also know in 28, it's not what everybody thinks. 28 could be the kick in the dick. It's not a black swan, it's a white swan. We could see it from a mile away, and it was the government the whole time. The whole damn time. It was the whole time. So we're ready to cook, folks. We got to cook now. I keep saying it. Until 2028, we've got to cook. So think about it this way. When a currency falls in the form you know, like the US dollar is going to do, it's always a time of the biggest transfer of wealth. It's also the time where most people, like me and you, just the general population, get wiped out and are done. They turn into the lower population. Even if you were the upper middle class or the upper class, if you had your settings around the US dollar and savings and things like that, I know the savings rate, they say we're losing, or by inflation, they're saying we're losing 4 or 2 or 3% a year, 4%. They're bullshit numbers. I hate to break it to you, but it's between 7 and 10% a year your dollar's losing value. Let's just call it for what it is. That means every 7 years, it's going down by 1x, basically. You know what that means? That means what you pay $100 today in 10 years is going to cost you $200. But most people won't realize it. They're just going to say, this is bullshit. I don't get paid enough. But no. No, the problem is we keep asking the government to print money. I know it's cute and fancy every time we see USDT printed and being injected from the government into crypto, but we're overinflating the market. That means that the market wasn't ready for that capital. That means we have no way of dissecting what's real and what's not. Okay. Aster, what do I think of it? Not much. I don't think I have a pull big enough to touch that token. Honestly. Too many weird people talking about it out of the blue. Almost like they're getting paid to push a token because it came up around everywhere at the right time for some reason. So I don't know, Israel. I don't think much. I don't know. I could be wrong. We're living in the greatest game of hungry hippos in history. Oh, we sure are. But it's the greatest opportunity for us all. How can a bunch of schlubs like us start to transcend ourselves over the last couple of years? If it's your first day in here, welcome into the change. This is the first day of the rest of your life. You don't know it yet. Just like 4.5 years ago, some of you didn't know on March 24th of 21 when I said you have no reason to believe me. And I'm not a financial advisor. And this is for entertainment, but, you know, at some point you're going to be like, holy fuck, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. Not because I know more than you. I was taught by some very good, not personally, but I listened to what the likes of Warren Buffett, for example, would say. You don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You just have to be the most patient and you have to know what you're buying. The biggest mistake most people make is they have no idea what they're buying. So then they have no way of being patient because they haven't got a fucking clue of what they're even holding. You know, and then you can base it around a lot of things, but, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said that. And I was like, oh my God, he's talking to me like 10 years ago. I am that guy. I bought Guinness and made a bunch of money on it. I don't know what the fuck this pile of shit is, but I got a government stimulus because they didn't want us to leave our house. You could not take it. It was bullshit. So, yeah. Where's a good buy zone for Linnea? Yeah, we talked about it briefly here. We talked about it a lot more this morning. But I firmly think we're waiting to see if we can get a breakout through here. I know we have the billion token release on October 10th, so that's something. So I don't know where the proper buy is yet. That's the honest to God truth. I don't know. It's too early. It just came out on the 10th. But we're waiting for as a short-term indication to see if we can get a volatile rally. Like, I'd like to drop 4,000 or 5,000 into this once it gives me the validation. Yeah, I could go up to 11 at some point, but that's not going to be at one-time buy. But I'd like to see a $4,000 or $5,000 purchase of this win probably a couple 100,000 tokens. If it can first overtake this, because I'd like to ride it up a little bit. If it comes all the way down here, if it bends me over and it breaks down, oh well, we're gonna be employing some big capital, especially if it's after the 10th. Because look, isn't this convenient? Like if it did all of this and broke down, look at the date. Not the 15th. Look at the date. I mean, think about it. What if it did do that because of the 10th and it broke down and ended up down there? I don't know. But if it gets up and it shows us momentum, I'll ride it up. I got no problem with that. I'm going to buy it on TOOBIT. So, CRO's doing us a service. I don't know how many of you hold it. I have 35,000 by virtue of the crypto Visa debit card. Y'all know the story. And when I was buying it, it was the best time. I mean, I didn't know this when I was doing it. I mean, I figured it was a good time. But you have to go all the way back when I got the crypto Visa debit card at the Ruby level in January. In February. No, not January, March. Because at first when I bought it last December, November into December, I remember it was up like 15 cents. 14 cents when I first bought it. Came all the way down to 8 cents because I had to have 10,000 of them. So I believe it was 10,000 at 14 cents I had to buy. And then, you know, you're getting bonuses free for using it, free CRO. They just send up there sometimes 1,000 or 2 a week, depending on how much money you're spending through your debit card. And then in March, it was sitting at 8-9 cents, and we talked about it in the audience, and I updated and bought and ended up with 35,000 because I wanted the Ruby card, and I had the funds sitting there from profits. And I sent it over there and did it. The ironic part is I just sent the CRO over. I never purchased them on Crypto.com, which that should be a kick to their own nuts. Because I have the CRO token, but I sent it from another exchange. So, I mean, so funny. So then I just held it because I have to for the Ruby card, so I can't sell it. So whether it goes bankrupt or goes up, it's one of those things. So yeah, see, Matthew, I can't answer that question. I like Theta, and I'm not telling anybody to sell anything to buy Linnea. That's not what I'm trying to say. You got to make that. That's a tough call because we don't even know if this is going to be anything more than a beta, if it's going to go long term. We don't know what it means with that release of tokens of 1 billion. We don't know when they're going to do it. I mean, we know October 10th, but we don't know what kind of schedule, so to say. But there was a Binance listing on the 9th, so that was a big reason why. 1.08 billion token unlock on the 10th. Linnea will unlock 1.08 billion new tokens, which is about 6.57% more tokens entering the market. So if you deduct the price by 6.57%, that's a big move. More tokens entering the market. Token unlocks can be risky for current holders because they often increase selling pressure. If many holders decide to sell after the unlock, this could make the price go down. However, if the new tokens are locked in staking, or strong holders receive them, there might not be much selling. Traders should watch where the unlocked tokens go. The event could cause more price movement than usual. It is important to have good risk management, so just pay attention to that. So I would argue that we just sit back and we watch what's going to happen, unless it gives us a short-term move before the 10th. So, oh, I think their tokenomics are next level. So if you're thinking of the Ethereum layer 2, the team that works on Linnea the team that works on it. Sorry, my light in my hallway is kind of bothering me, and I have a bad left eye, but it's kind of hitting me perfectly right now. But their team is the strongest team on the Ethereum blockchain, hands down. They have the strongest team. So even on a blockchain that I don't necessarily like, remember the XRP ledger is also on Ethereum. So, or I mean, at least the ROUSD, which by virtue, there's a bridge to the XRP ledger. So I mean, by virtue, they're basically working together. So, well, I'm not saying 2.4. I'm saying you have to make a decision if it holds 2.4, or if it breaks above 2.7. But there's a case that it could come down to 1.3. We don't know. Like I said, I don't know yet. I'm watching it, but I will let you know. I know you're in here a lot, Matthew, so I know I can talk to you straight. But I don't know yet. I suspect, because the daily is way oversold here. We have no evidence of a weekly because it hasn't been around in the monthly long enough. We just don't have the evidence. I would suspect that some of these time frames, like we thought, would start to clear out. The 2 hours starting to clear out some. And it could be putting in this inverse pattern, so I don't know if it comes back down here. Because this very well could be a head, left shoulder, right shoulder. And if it pushes out of here, that would propel us up to maybe 3 cent area. And then possibly higher, because if it starts pushing up, it can work up towards that 4.1 area. So I just don't know yet. 4 hourly was a little bit overbought. It's starting to work its way back down. So we need to see if that is a nice... It could be a back test of a further move up here too, but it is a reversal almost here. We have this little bit of a bearish cross here in the 20 all the way back down, but we don't have evidence of a 200 day because we just don't have that many days. Like I said, it's only been around for, you know, a few days. I mean, we can go in the 2 hourly and you'll get some kind of overview just because you have more evidence. But once you get into the daily and the 4 hourly, you're going to need more than just a 10-day turntable. It's not going to happen. This is basically giving you data, and there's just enough data points where it can kind of like do a, you know, a layered out interpretation with a defined program to where it can show you what it would essentially look like in this kind of formation. So that's where we're at right now. That's where we're at right now. So I don't know, man. It's a very tough question. Just got 18 trigger point injections. I'm going to be feeling real good. And oh boy, that sounds intense. That sounds intense. And welcome in, my friend, but that sounds intense. Jordan says market seems to be having a relief rally in crypto today. Is this another trap before we go back down, or could this be a sizable rally? That is the big question. This was the big rally we seen coming on Saturday, but it also is coming up to those major resistance levels in a lot of ways. So we have to see. That's the big question on everybody's mind. That's the big question. We don't know yet. We got to wait for these back tests here in the next. That's why I keep pointing at tomorrow when we're going to end up in a thinly traded weekend after 6 p.m. I want to see how the market reacts tomorrow. No doubt about it. But we're going to be winding this up here in a second. My son's waking up from his nap, and I think he's getting his feeding right now. Oh, no, not yet. Shortly, because Scarlett, oh no, maybe he's probably getting it right now, because Scarlett will be here tonight. But yeah, so I gotta go do what I gotta do. Mike Izza, thank you so much. Says God bless you and your family. Love your channel. I appreciate that. I like how you highlighted it. I forgot you could highlight. Thank you so much for that. Love it. I love it. Was there a YouTube super chat in here? Wow. I didn't even notice. I hit something and it showed it. Hold on. Must not have updated. I don't know. Maybe there wasn't, because when I clicked on something it said that there was some. I don't know what the hell that was, to be honest with you. If somebody did and it's not showing me, I apologize. I do. Yeah, because it looks like somebody, it says, Mark Korf says, thanks for all you do, Tom. I have big powder sitting. We should still get another shot in market for a drop. Yeah, I would think all this green market needs to back test these runs. Yeah. Unless that was from another live. I don't know. But Mark, or somebody tell me if you can see that. I'm going to switch it back to the regular commenting. All messages. How much was the super chat? It doesn't say. Can Byte be top 10? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how much Mark's super chat was. It did not show me. I don't know why. That's strange. $9.99. Thank you so much, Mark, for the $9.99 donation. I greatly appreciate that. First YouTube super chat of the evening. I'm so very thankful for that generosity. You have no idea. No idea. If you are watching these lives, it is nice to be in real time as well, because I turn off the ads during the live itself. Now, if you watch the live on replay, there's a chance you have the ads because it gets turned back on. But for the live, while we're talking for 60 minutes or more, whatever it ends up being, 50 minutes, I don't like the ads on because I think it takes away from the live. So I'd rather not get ad revenue and be able to talk in real time so you're not watching a stupid ad every so often. So if there's a reason why to come in here instead of watching it after, that's a good reason. That's a good reason. And thank you, Mark, so much. I really appreciate it. We have a very loyal audience here. But I'm gonna go help my son and Julie. I want to just make sure everything's good. You know, he's getting over an inner ear infection. So I just want to be present and make sure everything's good. I appreciate everybody. This was a fantastic live. It's a fantastic live. I can't even express it anymore. It was a fantastic live. Just awe-inspiring. You guys inspire me. You all inspire me. Emerging markets had a good day. Vanguard was up 0.55%. These are my mutual funds. The other one was up about 0.2%, 0.7% on the Fidelity. The other Fidelity was up almost 0.6%. They're having a good returns here. Pretty good returns. I mean, it's only going to say last year. I'd rather it say year to date, but good returns nonetheless. But yeah, that's about it. The verdict on the Nia is we don't know yet. I think I would rather like to see some evidence of this breakout here, or push down here to 2.4 and see if we break through the bottom. And I want to see what ends up happening on October 10th, because I really don't know. I have no evidence. I don't know how this token reacts and how the buyers and sellers line up. So I think it's more than likely a wait and see approach here. Wait and see approach, but we can certainly talk, you know, and have an active discussion in the Telegram. These are the kind of things in the Telegram. What we're supposed to be doing is taking what we see in the live and involving in it in the Telegram, but what ends up happening is it just gets overshadowed, and most, you know, it just doesn't happen. So we have a ways to go in creating the Telegram to the exact vision I would like, but we're getting there. We're certainly getting there. The 10th, they released 1.606 billion tokens or so. 6.5%, 1.08 billion. So it's kind of like how XRP does an escrow dump. They're doing their own. So, but yeah, but we need to see if they stake them or do whatever. But we don't know yet because we don't.